Welcome to another edition of my Mixed Media Friday. Today it's not really overly mixed media. Today I'm going to create a layout. It has some mixed media elements, but not that many really. I'm going to be using the Almanac collection and the Printery collection. There are two Prima collections that are right out of my hoard vault. This paper in particular that I'm ripping right there I had cut out a little square from it, and because it's one of my favorite pieces, I thought I'm still going to make a layout out of it. And so I decided to just curl the edges, and I love the backside of this paper because that beautiful clock just shows through. And here you see me kind of scrunching the paper up. All it does is you're going to see the next step is really, really cool. It gives the page a whole lot of texture. And so the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to use my Beacon 3-in-1, which is a pretty heavy glue. I like to use it quite a bit for, embellishments or things that I really need to hold down. I'm going to take now my Distress ink by Tim Holtz, and this one's antique linen, and you're going to start to see all the little folds, all the little crinkles that I did earlier are going to start showing through as I ink it up, which is kind of like the veins, which is really, really cool because it gives the page a whole lot of texture and dimension. So I'm going to be doing that with the Tattered Rose as well and the antique linen. So I'll be doing both of those. And you can see them right there. And I'm just taking my Tattered Rose and doing the exact same thing, just adding a little bit more color because the collection, the Almanac collection, has a little bit of a peachy type of pink. And so I wanted to mimic some of that color because I'll be intertwining those two collections. Next, I'm going to take the Inkville Balm Prima chalks, and I love these chalks. They're super, super fluid, and I'm just going to go all around the edges of my page. Next, I'm going to cut half of that piece of the Almanac paper because I only need one half of it, and then I'm just going to take a piece of chip or cardstock and it doesn't matter what color you use. I'm just going to use it as the background for it, as the backing I should say, and I'm just going to apply the Almanac piece and then the other Printery piece over the top. And with my Prima tool I'm just distressing the edges just a little bit more. I just can't get enough of that Prima tool. Look at the backside of that paper, it's just stunning. And then I just applied it down with my ATG gun. And now I'm curling the edges a little bit, and I'm grabbing a pen right here so that it gives a little bit of a nicer fold. Next I'm going to grab a Prima screen. I love these stencils, they're just so beautiful. And I'm going to take my Tattered Rose that I had taken earlier, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that when I press down a little bit harder, so that some of that image shows through. And I'm just kind of doing it here and there, not in a whole bunch of places, but about the 3 different corners. Next I'm going to take some cotton tape by Prima, and I love this cotton tape. It's super fun to play with and stamp. You can kind of make your own washi tape if you wanted to. So it's really, really fun. And you get 3 different sizes and colors in the tape. And I'm just ripping that up, creating a little bit more dimension on my page. Next I'm going to take one of the stamps. This one's called a Documentary, and I really love it. I've been using it for a long time. It is a pretty old stamp. And I was going to take some Stays on ink, but actually I decided to take some Inkville chalk inks, the Old Road again. And it's kind of that grayish black, which matches perfectly with the colors of the paper already. And as you notice, I'm kind of stamping by rolling because I don't want a whole lot of that image to show through. I just want a little bit. This is a stamp set. It's from the Firefly collection, and I love that border stamp that's right there. So I'm going to be using that again with the same Old Road chalk ink, and look how fluid it is. And in some places I want to do it really light, So I'm going to be pressing very lightly, and in some places I'm going to press it a little bit harder. Next, I'm going to take another one of the stamps from the Firefly collection just to give a little bit more effect to this page. I love the little swirls. So I'm just going to stamp that throughout the kind of like where my photo is going to go. I'm sort of creating a frame. I'm not sure if you're noticing. I'm kind of creating a frame of where my photo is going to go. Next, this is another stamp set. It's from the Engraver collection. And I love this stamp. It is so, so beautiful. So I'm going to do, again, kind of that rolling technique. And I'm going to be using the black coal ink. I just want a little bit darker. So just like so. And again, kind of going around my frame. Next, I'm going to start building my page up with some of the papers. So what I want to do now is just cutting up some of the collection. And I love those letters. They're like tiny little tickets. So I fussy cut those out. And I put some on the top and some on the bottom. And I'm just using my ATG gun, nothing special. I'm not even inking them up. And then just cutting very randomly strips of paper from that same collection and applying them over top of each other to create a little bit of the layered effect. And you'll see me throughout the layout creation, just, you know, ripping stuff out, putting it back on. That's just kind of how I create. And I really like those little piano pieces, so I'm going to cut those out, and the little pink pieces. Cutting out the little scraps and little pieces that, you know, you would otherwise throw out are always fantastic for this type of layout. And the reason I inked the piano a little bit is because it was a little bit too white and the layout doesn't have a whole lot of white. So I wanted to make sure that it kind of matched. And as you can see, I'm just layering. Next, this is from the same Almanac collection, and I love those tags that it comes with. So I'm going to cut one of those out, as well as one of those clocks here, as you can see me fussy cutting. And another alphabet set in that same collection, I'm going to cut it up and I'm going to start tearing and inking it up with the Inkville chalk inks to kind of match the rest of the layout. And I'm going to start doing a little bit more of that placing and piecing it together. And I'm pretty much using my ATG gun to hold the paper down. I like to use the liquid glue, the Beacon 3-in-1 or the Fabri-Tac, to hold things like the flowers and the embellishments. And I play with the photo just to see kind of where I want my placement. So I never glue my photo down until I kind of know what my placement is going to be, so that I can move things around. As you see me lifting, moving. That's just kind of how I create. Next, I'm going to take some Wild Honeysuckle Coral by Lindy Stamp Gang, and I'm just going to add a little bit of color. I want a little bit, and I'm not spraying because I don't want too much, so I'm using the nozzle of my sprayer to create that drippage effect. So it's really, really easy to do, and it's not that messy. And the reason I picked a little bit of a darker pink is because I did want a little bit of contrast, but I didn't want to change the color too much. So I just chose the same, the pink, but just in a little bit of a darker tone. In order to allow my photo to blend into the page a little bit more, what I've done is I've used my finger. Now you can use a paintbrush. I was just a little bit lazy, and I love to use my fingers for all this stuff. So I'm just inking the edges of my photo, and as you can see, it'll start to blend. It'll kind of take the starkness out of the edges of the photo. Now I'm going to take some yellow pastel. I know the camera didn't pick it up really well, but what it did is it softened the white a little bit to kind of blend into the current colors of the paper. And then I did the same thing with a little bit of the pastel pink. And now I'm going to go ahead and start cutting that little clock, placing it on the layout. And the reason I cut it in half is because you know, when I tuck things in, you only see half of them, so it's almost a waste to not cut it in half and use the full thing. I cut that piece out earlier. I just wasn't quite sure that I was going to use it, and in the end I don't end up using it. This is a Prima vine. One of my favorite things that Prima has ever come out with is the Prima vines. I use them like crazy, and I love to cut them up. So now I'm going to go ahead and start placing my photo down, hopefully not upside down. And as you saw, I started cutting a little bit of my vines here and there. And I really want to make sure that I see that piece through, so I pulled it out. And this is kind of why I don't apply a whole lot of glue when I'm creating my layout until right at the end, so that I can kind of move stuff around if I really don't like the position of it. Another one of the Prima vines is the ones that they came out with this in this last release with all the different collections. This one in particular is from the Engraver collection, and I just love them because you can cut and tuck them in to create the beautiful little vines that are coming out of the flowers. It's just so pretty. Next, I'm going to take a little bit of gesso, and I don't like the green too much on there. The page doesn't really have any green, so I just soften it up with a little bit of gesso. You can do that with any acrylic paint. I just happen to have gesso sitting right there, so that's what I usually use. And it softens it up a little bit. And it's okay for you to see a little bit of the green because it is a leaf and a vine, but I just didn't want it to be totally dark. Using another Prima flower from the Hello Pastel collection, and then start to apply the little vines to poke out of them. And then as you saw, I really cut up my vine because I find that if you cut up your vines, they really go a long way. When you kind of use them whole, you're very limited as to how to use them. Next is the Fabulous Shabby Chic Treasures by Engraver. I love these. It's a cute little wheel. And it's nice heavy metal, so it stays pretty good. And this glue actually works really, really well. This right here is a color box die that I had for a little while. And I'm just going to go ahead and ink it up with my chalk ink. And this is the pastel pink, just to make it pop a little bit. Not too much. It's quite soft. And then now I'm going to go ahead and just pop it up onto my photo, just kind of tucking it a little bit underneath the flower there. And really, I just want to frame the photo a little bit, just my image. I don't need the whole background. Next, I'm going to take another flower by Prima. This one's so pretty. And I'm just going to start gluing it down underneath the other one. I didn't like the placement of the way I had the vine, so I'm actually going to place the flower, that pink flower right there. I think it'll look much better. And that's the beauty of using liquid glue versus hot glue. When you use hot glue, once it's down, it'll rip your page if you try and move it around. So when I am placing flowers, I like to use that liquid glue quite a bit. Next, I'm going to, do you remember that tag that I had cut earlier? I'm going to go ahead and use that. I'm going to use that right in the middle there of the ripped piece, and it kind of brings that piece together. Next, I'm going to use a little bit of that vine, and now I have leftover vine for another project, which is really great. So it does go quite a long ways. And here I go again with running out of glue, as always. Next, I'm going to grab these wood buttons by the, they're from the Fairy collection by Prima. Fairy Rhyme collection, I should say. And I'm just applying a little bit of glue. They're wood buttons, so super cute. And I'm just playing around with the position of them. I didn't want them to stand out too much, but I wanted the page to have a little bit of dimension. Next, I'm going to take the gesso and just apply a little bit of gesso to the vines that I didn't apply gesso to earlier, and just a little bit on my gray flowers, just to soften the look a little bit. Next, I'm going to take this beautiful stamp. It's from the Wishes and Dreams collection. And I love, love, love it. And this is the first time that I'm using it. And I kind of wanted to have the 3 wishes, hope, and dream kind of all around the photo. And my StazOn I found was a little bit dry. And so after I actually completed the entire layout, I did go over it with a black thin pen, or marker I should say, so that it popped up a little bit. Next I'm going to take some more flowers, the Avante Cedar flowers, and I just wanted to add a couple more. I'm kind of addicted to flowers. I just never know when to stop. I could probably have finished the layout by now, but they were just sitting there, so I needed to add them in. I'm definitely not done with flowers. The last flower I'm going to take is the mini sachet flowers by Prima, and I promise you those are the last of the flowers, but these are so cute. And these are the frost, so they're not quite white. I'm going to say they're a little bit of cream, and it just adds a little bit of something to the page. Like I said, I never know when to stop with flowers, so I just keep adding. You can go overboard with flowers, so don't go too crazy, but the soft colors really kind of allows you to get away with it, and I'm not adding anything extravagant. So that's the layout right there. As you can see, some of the flowers had a little bit of glitter, so if you see some of the glitter on that page, that's what it's from. And thank you so much for watching, and there's still photos in the end. Have a great day. Bye-bye.